Hello, welcome back to Tauri with 3 races further on at the Austin Grand Prix for a sprint race here. As a reminder, we are skipping 3 at a time at this point, and the next one will be another sprint race in Qatar before the finale in Abu Dhabi, which we may or may not include in that video. It depends on the situation. The situation, however, and this time I will remember to do this before we actually go into this race here, the 2 races that you missed. Baku, solid, 6th and 8th. Carlos Sainz had a weird one, going from, I think, 2nd or 3rd down to 10th. And that was the only major travesty. I think Sergio Perez did the opposite, having taken a penalty. Yeah, there was a crash early on, and that was that. There was no interruptions late enough into the race to cause a major deviation at the very top. A fair bit of deviation from 5th down to 10th, but yeah, top 4. A little bit more change up for Singapore. Nick de Vries getting in the top 10 there. Alex sneaking into 10th. Not a great race for us, actually, all things considered. We didn't qualify superbly well either, though. I believe Alex may have gone down a place during the race, but Yuki did go up a place during the race. So we kind of just sandwiched ourselves together in 10th and 11th in the end. And that was that. But a little bit more variety in that one. As a reminder, there have been no upgrades to the car, and there will be no more upgrades to the car at this point in time. We were entirely focused on research for next year to mitigate the 2026 to a level that might not be overpowered. We've talked about this before. I'm not going to go through it again. It is the United States Grand Prix. It is a sprint weekend. There's a lot to get through here. We'll start with qualifying. See you there. First laps don't appear to be great. We will 100% have to run again, mostly because Stroll had an off. I'm actually worried about clear track here. I'm hoping that Red Bull ahead is close enough to the end of their lap that they're just going to either dive into the pits and dive out of the way or give us a tow. One of the 3 of those 3 options will be quite nice. Well, they certainly weren't on a flyer lap. Well, they certainly weren't on an in lap because they're still going, and they're actually right up the back of each other. I mean, there's no reason for the Red Bulls to even be out there, but both drivers with a better Q1 is helpful. Iwasa's already locked in behind us. Zhou Guanyu, despite taking a penalty last week, and therefore taking new car parts as part of that, still not great and still off the pace with Norris, so I think they're still broken in some respects. And there's even more drivers that are just causing carnage. The Red Bull is still inside the Sauber, sorry, which I presume must be Daniel Ricciardo because Bottas has already locked in. Hadjar's also locked in behind. Oh, I think Stroll's crossed the line because his absolutely unrepresentative time is now just plus 2 seconds. I think we actually might be fine. Magnussen could still be a problem. Ricciardo could still be a problem, but no, he's not. Stroll's still last somehow. This is concerning. Magnussen was a problem. Ooh, dear. That is very baffling. It's especially confusing because Tsunoda's just put in his first lap in Q2 and is significantly faster than some people. I wonder if we got hindered. Because that's the thing, both drivers qualified in the top 10, easily in the top 10 in Baku. Yuki just missed out in Singapore, which obviously requires a lot more cornering, which we're not great at. This obviously has the S's, which are probably not to our strengths here at Kota, but a couple of big long straights do work to our advantage here, so it should kind of neuter itself out. We should be better than Singapore, but probably worse than Azerbaijan as a vehicle. And on the assumption the AI here and there have probably developed a couple of pieces on a couple of cars, a couple of teams. You know, a couple of teams may have made a little bit of progress between now and then. We might be struggling to get to top 10, but we should be thereabouts still. Giovinassi's second. Okay, maybe they've just done unrepresentative laps like all of them, because Leclerc's a second off as well. But sometimes just putting the lap in when it matters can be helpful. I'm trying to leave it as late as possible so I don't get stuck in as much traffic this time round. And I think you actually do need to push them from the beginning. I'm using the tyres now because softs are basically useless in the actual race here. So there's no real point holding on to the softs because they won't feature unless there's the safety car. I think you might just have to move out of the way for this Red Bull or cause an incident. If that's Charles Leclerc, that could have really worked in our favour, actually. Oh, I tried to avoid traffic and I've ended up in more somehow. But I think they're all going to be in push laps as well. So this might be a tow rather than a hindrance. From the Ferrari, at least. We'll go on board, though, as he's filtering his way through the S's. We'll keep an eye on his sectors. Better first sector. Piastri Zhou already locked and already out. Unfortunately, that was Leclerc, and unfortunately, he was still rather fast. Now, that's Sauber, was it? Yes, the Sauber of Bottas. Did get past at a fairly awkward point. Obviously, they do move out of the way a lot better, but if you still catch people at the wrong time, then it can still be a problem. But a better first sector. Obviously, use tyres on the first one. I have put clean tyres on. Slower second sector. I think that hindrance might have been a problem. And I thought the distant tow of the Ferrari could have cancelled that out a little bit. But De Vries is also locked in behind. Norris will cross the line before us as well. And Bottas moved out of the way for us there, so Bottas is definitely out. There was someone behind who's gone ahead there. Norris hasn't, but he was literally like 1 corner ahead. So we sneak through in 10th, I think, because Bottas is done. That's what I mean. That's where we should be, basically. Not losing out in Q1. Just pop a lap time in. Not a good one, but we'll pop 1 in at the very least. on a used set, put on a clean set. There's still the sprint set that's available to us, which we'll end up saving for the race because there's no way this is a soft tyre sprint. Wait until the last possible second. Worked last time, so we'll do it again. Although I think some people have come out later this time around because George Russell just popped out of the garage directly in front of us, and he won't be pushing the same way we do. So we'll probably have to get past him. And we do. Looks to be a setting sun here at Austin. At the very least, it makes the visibility a little bit easier down the main straight there. Can be quite blinding otherwise. Okay. Rolling through. Obviously attack the last corners. Bring it down a notch so you can appreciate it a little bit more. And it's a flying lap with someone in the distance. It is a Mercedes, so not one of the top 2 teams, so they're not going to run away quite as dramatically. They're probably faster, but they're not going to run away the same way Perez, Verstappen, Russell and Leclerc will. Some of them might be actually finishing a lap as well soon, rather than a starting one. George has just crossed the line with like 2 seconds to spare, so they'll be the last one to put in a time. I don't know whether a couple of people on the S's behind us are done. That Ferrari is done, so that's Perez's time is locked in then. Which makes sense because I don't remember Perez being ahead of Verstappen and Russell when last time I looked at that top 10. It was definitely Verstappen, Russell 1-2. So Perez is done, he's taken pole. Verstappen is second, sorry, preliminary pole. Verstappen is definitely second at best. Giovinazzi's not going to improve on 7th. His time was also done as well, and he's just come into the pits. Leclerc is done, he's come into the pits, but may have dragged Magnussen round a bit, which is a shame. No, Magnussen actually doesn't improve anyway. So 9th for Magnussen at best. Here comes one of the Mercedes across the line. That's Ocon, he stays 6th. Yuki improves. How the hell is Yuki Tsunoda not improved with a 20% better set of fresh tyres? I literally went out on a set of tyres that had done 2 runs first time round, and somehow a brand new set are not faster. The set that I did the run on were 80%, and a 100 brand spanking new set does not inherently have better pace. Is absolute madness. No hindrances, no nothing. Anyway, there's another practice. I'll see you for the sprint. I completely overlooked the fact that it's actually a rainy race on Sunday, so that kind of frees up the tyre choice a little bit. It's a medium sprint anyway, as you can see. So we have to go all out off the line and then bring it back as quickly as possible, otherwise you will run out of tyres by the end anyway. Obviously no extra fuel or no fuel out of it, just because that's annoying. But we saw beforehand that 3 does work.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
Just as a reminder, because we have had a fair few sprints in recent weeks in real life, the sprint format here is the old sprint format, so whatever place that we end up in at the end of this race is our place for the main race. There was an accident directly behind Alexander Albon there between both the Hasses by the looks of things. Might see the replay of that. We will, because overtakes don't get replays in the sprint, but so is the Haas on the inside. That's, yes, it's not gone well. Lance Stroll starts at the very back. The secondary Haas there is come off second best. Not great for the Haas's home race. Hajjar, that is. Owasa gets away with it, although 3 seconds off Albon. Oh no, he's lost half his front ring. Neither of them get away with it. They've lost the opposite halves, somewhat amusingly. So the Haas are very much likely going to be 19-20 for the main race. Oh dear Haas. And they're both going to have to come in for new front wings as well. Anyone got on a soft to start this sprint, by the way? No, it's all medium or hard. Hard might not have been a bad shout, but we used a hard in practice, so we can't use the other one in the sprint, otherwise we won't have one for the race. But it is raining, but we don't know when or how or where. Like whereabouts, if it's going to be heavy rain, but like for the last 10 laps, then a hard obviously might feature. But if it's going to rain for 90% of the race, then the hard won't feature. Anyway, we're looking at the wrong people. Our drivers have made 0 places so far. Tsunoda is on the back of the hard running Magnussen. DRS obviously enables immediately here in a sprint on lap 2. And everyone from leader, George Russell, down to Albon in 16th is in one train. But everyone pushes for 2 laps, so we've got to push for 2 laps and then we'll have to bring it back. But if I remember rightly, Ferrari started 1st and 3rd, and Perez was on pole. So George has gone from 3rd to 1st, Perez is from 1st to 2nd, and then Verstappen and Leclerc have slipped back from 2nd and 4th. And Sainz has made their way up to 4th in the same process. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, well, actually 7th through 16th, unchanged. But Yuki getting the angle on Magnussen, going up the inside, making it stick. Making it stick. You don't get the replays for highlights in the sprint, so we won't see that one on again. I can't believe they haven't fixed that. Obviously, we have to come off the electronics push. Albon got Joe in all that as well. Further back, because we don't have highlights. That wasn't thrown in front of my face. Albon is on the back, all over the back of Bottas, actually. Now that they've stopped pushing. I've gone on avoid curbs to try and bring the temperature down quickly first, and then I'll come off it. But we'll probably come off fuel at the end of this lap, because I don't know what the recovery rate is here, so I don't want to push it too far. Yeah, 0.5 will do us on that front. Bottas does have DRS still, but he is outside of range now, so it'll be only a matter of time before Alex gets Bottas, I think. Tsunoda is back down to 10th because Norris has come through. And I wonder if there's a way I can... No. There's no way I can change the current pace target, so we are in the blind for this race, working out exactly where we need to be by the end of it. And not only is he off Norris, he is off the pace entirely. And De Vries has come through. I mean, that's DRS assisted, but I don't know if they've made changes to avoid curbs, but we're going to go on regular 3 now, as was the plan. Now they're in regular temperature range. And kind of just got to leave them to it. De Vries doesn't have DRS, so we'll get him back, I imagine. And Alex is still all over the back of Bottas, and he probably should get him next time there's a DRS zone. Although Bottas is getting into Magnus's DRS because he's on the hard tyres, as Piastri comes through Tsunoda as well for good measure. Oh dear. No, confidence is fine. I think the Williamses have sorted themselves out now because the Williamses have clawed their way up to 7th and fighting for 8th. There might be a genuinely good chance that the Williams car is actually the 4th best now with the way that they're performing in this sprint, because they are performing incredibly well. Have they run out of front wings, by the way? Are they just sort of rolling around? And they do have a front wing, but he's 40 seconds off the pace. Hadjar also has a front wing, actually, so I'm not quite sure why they're 40 seconds off the pace, because the pit stop was only 20. I guess they probably fell quite dramatically back before they did their pit stops and penalties and front wings changes. Well, Weston was the one with the penalty, so the fact he's ahead of his teammates is quite funny. Haas might get lapped in a sprint. I mean, this is depressing for us. I wasn't expecting points in this sprint because, you know, points go down to 8th, but in a weird way, actually, Williams getting points here might be good for us and preventing people like Gasly and Norris, because I'm pretty certain they have less points than Alpine and definitely less than McLaren. There's a VSC, though, and that is De Vries, who is off the track in a weird spot. If my eyes don't deceive me, that is turn 7. It's in the S's. Is this what happened with Max Verstappen? Now, Max Verstappen spanned there, I think, but it is basically what happened with Max Verstappen, but for some reason it was a delayed reaction from Nick De Vries' car. But I think it was that corner where that caused Max a problem. It was there where he went, wasn't it? But he just went a little bit further, and we're seeing the highlight again for some reason. So it does put Gasly back up to 8th. So that's 1 point for Alpine, which isn't good for us. I think Alpine are notably behind. It's only really Aston Martin and McLaren we've got to be concerned with. And I think the Astons are done for as well this season. Oh, of course, fuel. I don't know how many laps are left, so we'll just keep tyres as is. I think everyone might push off the VSC restart, but I don't think we should try with the tyres. It's a good point. Have we been more conscientious with our tyres than other people? Piastri, Bottas? Bottas weirdly pushes his tyres. I don't know if it's the car, but I think it must be Bottas because Ricciardo doesn't. For some reason, Bottas's smoothness or just aggressiveness is really high. They really push them. Piastri's just, I know that's his smoothness. That has been the case in previous years. Sainz has really pushed his as well, which is odd for the smooth operator. With 3 laps to go, Giovinazzi, Sainz in particular might be in a spot of bother. Perez might come back into this. I didn't notice the situation with the Ferraris. They slipped for 5 and 6. I think the Haas being lapped might just survive that indignity. Although Hadjar still crawling around. Hadjar's definitely got more damage than his teammate. That's what's happened there. All right, so 1 lap to go. No point saving these tyres. And I think with 79%, depending on whether you use it before the finish line, might as well just go for it from here. There are people to overtake. Oh, Tsunoda got to 8th. Sorry, I completely blanked on that. Curse the utter lack of overtaking replays, because I said Giovinazzi might have been a smart bother. And he is, because Norris has got through as well, which is more problem, actually. Because that's 2 points to McLaren, which is a worse case scenario than Alpine. Although it's only 1, because Tsunoda's got 1, as things stand. But if Alex can have Magnussen here at the very end, that would be nice. And Bottas too, for good measure, to get him to 12th for the start of the race. We'll take that. Our tyres are in much better shape than both of them. Tsunoda's are worse than Norris's, though, so I don't think we'll get that one. And I think he was 2 or 3 seconds up the road anyway. Bottas didn't have DRS. This might be... Oh, he did actually have DRS. Sorry, it just opens there. But we've got the overdrive, and we're on the inside. Our DRS is better than theirs, I think. Slightly weird animation going into that corner, but we'll take the position. We'll take the position, Alex. Alex, he's in a Sauber, mate. We'll take that position. Thank you very much. Certainly enough fuel to get us to the line. Ocon did get Sainz. How close did Norris did Tsunoda get? Oh, only 1 second. He was actually quite close. He'd have got him if there'd been another lap. That's actually Albon would have got Piastri if had there been another lap that we could have pushed on. So, sneak a point, but Norris sneaks 2. It's more a problem that Norris starts 7th for the race than it is Norris gets a point in the sprint. more in the sprint. Oh, we've got to wait forever for the Hasses to get around. Hang on. There we go. Bless them. I think Zhou Guanyu's car and Lance Stroll's car, despite taking new car parts in recent weeks, Lance Stroll, I think, took some last time, might still be slightly problematic because he only recovered to 15th in 19 laps, and Kevin's gone down to 14th, admittedly on hard tyres. And Piastri's got penalties for the actual race, so Alex will start 11th. Let's have a look at this rain then. Ooh, okay, that already looks carnage, so we'll just pop that on for now and see where this rain comes in. Oh, that is absolute mayhem. Okay, this symbol here normally indicates wet, wet. So it'll be wet, wet to end, it'll be wet, wet there, and then damp between here and there, and here and there. We've seen previously, and we've been burned by this before, we've seen previously that intermediates do work in wet conditions to a degree. At the very least, to the degree that a wet track for 5 or 6 laps won't be faster going onto wets and taking 2 pit stops than staying on the intermediates. So, with that in mind, gonna be annoyed if they've done an update in the meantime that I've missed, but it is definitely, yeah, a medium tyre should get to the rain in the first place. And his intermediates, oh, wrong way around. One day I will remember how they've changed this. And because it's only 1 pit stop onto wets, it might be faster to go onto wets at the end. Oof, the intermediates just get there, but that is doable. Like, we're not certain exactly where the wet is, but it's going to be around there. And because there is a certain amount of rain, I might go really aggressive with the fuel here. I might take 2 laps out. I have one concern with Yuki Tsunoda at the moment, and I've not mentioned it yet. Like, he was absolutely going to have to take a new gearbox at some stage because that is the state of his gearboxes. I'm pretty certain the engine ticks over at 50% into being unfunctional. So I think we need to take a new engine on Yuki Tsunoda next race. ERS should be fine now for him, provided he has no further problems. ERS for Alex is in a spot of bother as well, but he has enough, I think, for practice, so that might hold off ERS for him, or at the very least, enough that we just suffer with a sub-functional one. His engine is kind of okay and kind of in a similar boat gearbox-wise, but might be able to last a little bit better. But a gearbox is only 1 million, so that's not too much of a problem. We've saved a little bit of cost cap for this purpose just in case, particularly with the engine. But it is 8th where Yuki finished, and it is 11th, as I mentioned, for Alex, whose strategy didn't switch over for some reason. There we go. Why is Valtteri Bottas there?
Here we go. It's the United States Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go.
So despite their collision, the Hassers actually start the main race where they started the sprint race because of Piastri's penalty and De Vries crashing out entirely. As for our drivers, we've got to nurse them to the rain effectively on mediums. That is a risk. We probably could have gone on hards and pushed. Some people have gone on softs. Oh, the fools. Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell could be in a spot of bother starting on a soft tyre, but we have obviously taken a lot of fuel out to start with in the anticipation of this rain, helping us bring that back later on. So we might be a little bit feisty in these opening few laps, depending on what other drivers have done with their fuel situation. Albon has already taken Gasly for 10th off the line, I assume. We didn't get the replay for that. It was probably on camera because we are focused on Alex as standard. I just didn't notice it with my own eyes at the time because I was looking at the tyre situation. But obviously we all push, as always, for the first 2 laps, as Alex at the very least will try and keep Antonio interested enough in looking at his rear mirrors that he's not looking too much forwards at Yuki Tsunoda instead. Gasly's dropped well off already. I don't know what's going on there. They were certainly competitive enough in the sprint, but for some reasons Gasly's struggling to hold on immediately. But Alex has got the run on Antonio Giovinazzi without DRS. That might be just straight up fuel load differences. I mean, he's pushed him entirely off the track there. That was all 4 wheels off the track for Alex. That's a warning, but it's because Giovinazzi shoved him well entirely off. Penalty, please. Norris got Perez to make things worse as well. Ocon can't keep up with Verstappen, so Verstappen's running away. The one person that can, Leclerc, is stuck behind both Mercedes. Oh dear. But still hounding Giovinazzi. We'll obviously have to come off basically everything at the end of this lap. We'll allow them to push the fuel to -4. But yeah, as soon as we come off hyper-aggressive everything, we are immediately outside of Perez's DRS zone, and Alex is actually now in Yuki's DRS, which is a problem. And maybe not a problem, actually. It might help keep Giovinazzi behind, thinking about it, and could actually get us into Norris/Perez's DRS train. But there's been an accident, and it must be in front, because everyone else was on the straight. There is a Red Bull in the... No, it's a Mercedes, sorry. It is Ocon and Sainz. No, I missed the highlight. I'm hoping it comes through naturally. It does. No, it doesn't. It just went... What was that? Oh, I missed it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was so busy trying to work out who it was. I mean, they harvest and conserve anyway, but we need to bring the tyres down anyway, so we might as well just bring it down. It's a time penalty for sights. I mean, great. I was hoping it would come up from both perspectives, like sometimes it does with crashes. So, you know, it would come up from Ocon's perspective and it would come up from Sainz's perspective. But it didn't. Bottas is in 10th. Sauber is getting points as things stand. It won't last. I say it won't last. The Aston Martins haven't been great, but I do expect at least one of them to get him by the end of this race. Well, the good news is we can push the fuel again a bit, and we'll just use that as useful top-up as the virtual safety car has ended and Alex has immediately gone for Yuki Tsunoda. Whoops. I think Yuki may have been called out at the exact point when the VSC ended because he dropped like a full 2 seconds off Perez immediately. Can we not fight like this, please? Because that is costing us time. Alex's problem here is Yuki Tsunoda now has 94 overtaking. That being said, Yuki does seem to be struggling more for some reason. He's barely holding on to Alex's DRS. So he probably won't even get him back here. I was just expecting that to be immediately tit for tat, but I don't really know. They've got the same car. And Yuki has been better overall recently, so I don't know what's going on there. Alex did improve his control, but that doesn't affect your lap time as far as you're aware. That just decreases your chance of incident. He increased his control, which is good, finally. But, or did he improve his braking, maybe? But Yuki was the one who finished 10th in qualifying, so the inherent pace does seem to be there more for Yuki still. Yeah, I'm trying to wean myself off going on 5 push and curbs because I don't know if they fixed it yet or changed it yet. Because I know at some point they either have or will nerf that to a degree where that will probably be slower than doing this. And on some tracks, it's faster to do this anyway. All right, we'll go -3 because I don't really know how much the recovery rate will be still with the rain, but I think that might be solid enough. So Sainz will have a penalty next race as well. It's annoying that Norris needs to have enough to keep in touch with Perez, Leclerc, Russell. I think Yuki might get Alex back this lap as well because he seems to be close enough. The good news is, at the very least, we are dragging Bottas in this train and preventing the Astons from getting him too easily anyway. That was interesting. Yuki was like within about 3 tenths all the way through section 1, and then for some reason at the hairpin lost 3 tenths in that hairpin alone and was just far enough back that he couldn't make an impression on the... It was almost as if he was deliberately doing don't fight, even though he wasn't on don't fight. Like, that's the way to do don't fight, is you just find the moments to back off enough so that then you can just sidle back up again without even challenging, which is what happened in Canada and caused the crash. Magnussen took Bottas, and we're all sad about it. 3 push actually is too cold for Alex now, for some reason. But realistically, there's nothing really to micromanage. Oh god, they're fighting each other as we get that interruption for wet weather warning. Yeah, it's going to be in a couple of laps, but it won't get wet enough until lap still 17, 18. It's going to be quite rapid though, the bit where it actually does change, because it's going to be kind of like point maybe 3, 4, 5 at most there, and then it will suddenly probably go to straight to like 1 within a lap. So it could well be worth coming in on lap there, and then it will change in that process. And of course our driver's on... Oh god, our driver's at line astern. Actually, Alex being overtaken is going to warm up his tyres because he's in the dirty air now. Yeah, it's the wrong message there, but rain started. So on cue, basically, but it won't get bad enough for a few laps. I'm intrigued to see what everyone else does. And the good news is the Haasers won't finish worse than they did, well, worse than they started. But they are already off the pace, unfortunately. For them, might be carrying just inherent damage from car parts they couldn't replace. Because it's only 12 laps in and they are, well, Hadjar in particular is well off his teammate. Now, I think Alex is probably the better wet weather driver here, so it's good that he's in front. But at the same time, because he's the better wet weather driver, he'd be the driver that will be better served risking it an extra lap in the wet, or the other way around. Risking the intermediate tyre in the drier conditions. He'll be the one that will be better served for doing that. Whereas Yuki might have to go... yeah, that's the problem. I don't know which way around the risk is in regards to using his adaptability. Which way's the bigger catastrophe, really? Is it if he's on a dry tyre and it gets damp on the lap? Or is it going to be switching to an intermediate and it doesn't get to intermediate by the end of that lap anyway? So 0.3. So we're in that little bit of a plateau, which was about 0.3. So we are still looking at lap 16, really now? 16, 17? Can I actually just push the tyres, actually thinking about it. Okay, lads, don't fight. For the love of God, don't fight. The rain is definitely coming now, so we can absolutely slam these tyres, so there's no real danger. Okay, so we got another lap at this level. Actually, not fighting is drop Giovinazzi. So I think we were holding each other up. I say drop Giovinazzi, he's on the fringes. And then Bottas is 12th now. The Astons did sneak through. So I think it'll be another lap. No one's dived in. It sort of stayed steady this lap. Oh, I was going to say, if I saw it tick up before we got there, I might have considered it. Of course, we're also pushing the tyres now, so we will be inherently faster than we were before. I think this lap, but I think it'll be this lap. I think it's about to shoot up. No one came in. Oh, Russell came in. I don't think that's representative of the level that it's actually at right now, because it's only on 0.9, 0.5 essentially. That's normally around where 1 is on the map on these graphs. So how far to the pit entry? 286 meters. God, you have to make that decision really early, don't you? I think Russell's gone for it, and Alex is the better adaptable driver. I think it's about to change. I think in this case, where the track is a little bit damp and the intermediates aren't probably up to the level yet, Alex is probably better served being on this because I think he's the better adaptable driver. Russell went for it really early. I'm expecting a sharp increase any moment now is basically the point. By the time we get back round, Russell was the only one to blink, which is what made me think. But he is the only one to have done it. I think we may have blinked too early. We've come out behind Awasa, so if they are at all remotely competent, these tyres, we could maybe snatch DRS off him, because it won't have started yet. It won't have ended yet. Yeah, these tyres aren't good enough yet. We're being dropped by Awasa. I mean, they're not up to temperature, but we're being dropped by Awasa, so they weren't good enough yet. Oh, it's so annoying. The windows for these tyres are so annoying. Like, you'd think even with just some level of water, they'd have some performance, but they just don't. Ricardo? It's just a yellow flag. I wonder if he's going to get going again. He just goes off the track. Yeah. He'll return to the track as soon as he feels it's safe, I imagine. Yeah, there he goes. Back on ahead of Awasa. It's definitely a lap to bring Yuki in, though. We had to separate them somehow. We either had to run... Because Yuki's adaptability is lower than Alex's, Yuki was the one we had to get bang on. Well, that being said, actually, Alex has got within a second of Awasa by the end of the lap. So maybe it was just tyre temperature that was part of the problem. No, Awasa will come in, obviously. So that was kind of perfect timing. We had to separate our drivers out because they were literally right behind each other. So we either lost 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds with Alex or with Yuki because he was behind Alex, or we lost a couple of seconds with Alex getting it wrong and trying to use his adaptability for good. It hasn't worked out superbly. Alex has lost... well, like place, essentially, because we were running with Yuki. He's lost 2, Yuki's gained 1, but as a team, we've lost 1. And there's a yellow flag as well for someone. Well, that was only brief. There's another yellow flag. Someone else has run wide. Bottas has run wide and is off the track, I think. Oh, the Saubers. Oh, they could have done something if they got their strategy right. Do they do it twice? I think we had a yellow flag for him cutting the corner originally, and then we had the yellow flag for him going off. It's a VSC for that. Oh, is he out? Oh, no. Actually, if we could somehow conserve these tyres, that'd be great. Yeah, we get to see his 2 separate highlights because it was Bottas twice, so he was all out of shape there, and then he just goes off. That was more what Max did, but without crashing. Oh, his back wing's gone. We actually do need to get Yuki's tyres up to temperature. So it's not gone well for Sauber then. Why did Leclerc just come in the pits? Leclerc hadn't come off yet. So that's mitigated his folly then, or Red Bull's folly. Being able to pit under the safety cars obviously cut that pit stop in half in terms of time they lost. So he's only behind Norris now, who is, oh God, Norris is 3rd. As a team, I think we're getting enough points because it's 4 for Alex as things stand and 8 for Yuki, and Norris gets 15. So it's a net 3 gain plus the 1 from the sprint. So net 4 from McLaren as things stand. Leclerc and Russell should get him, should being the operative word. All right, so we're just trying to get these tyres up to temperature for a little bit after these. Could probably actually push for a little bit after this VSC ends, because it's not even halfway and we've got basically all the fuel back. In fact, actually, we've got the entire ERS. Let's just push the ERS for a lap. As Gasly's got feisty for some reason. Despite the fact that we were the ones pushing, Gasly got feisty. Hang on, what's going on with Yuki? Why is Yuki going backwards? Why did he just let Lance Stroll through? I realise why he let Alex through, because I forgot to take Don't Fight teammate off, but why did he let Stroll... Look, why did he just like straight up let Stroll through? Yeah, that was my bad. I forgot about the instructions there, but... So we can't go aggressive on these tyres for too long, and we can't obviously push the ERS forever, but we've got space to push the fuel for a while, and of course it'll be fighting the rain as well, so it won't be dropping quite as fast either. I don't know why Gasly's just suddenly found pace, and Stroll. I don't know if this is Yuki's adaptability. Yuki's adaptability isn't bad, but it's not as good as Alex's. And I thought it was better than Pierre's as well. Weirdly, Norris is holding off Leclerc. No DRS. So the interesting bit is imminent, where it's going to be wet for a while. We're going to hold firm with our strategy. We actually are doing better than the strategy says, so we actually might be able to push these tyres a little bit more than anticipated, particularly actually either side of this heavy rain might be sensible. And actually, we are back into sort of range with Alex if we focus on him rather than Pierre. 7th and 9th versus 3rd is not good for us. So either side of this wet bit will like really slam these tyres a little bit more. Ricardo and Awasa have pitted, as has Hadjar. It's interesting they've done it now, well before we're actually even anywhere near the wet threshold. I'll see what the front runners do, because there's definitely one more lap of intermediate no matter what. We'll see if any of them, Leclerc and Russell have gone. Interesting. There's definitely one more lap of intermediate no matter what here. Even if you were going to go onto a wet tyre, which has thrust us into 4th and 6th as things stand because Leclerc's come out behind Alex. So Leclerc will get Alex because it will get wet, but it will only be wet for 6 laps. So they have to gain 2 pits worth of time in these wet conditions because it will get intermediate again, or they're going to stay on wet till the end of the race. So our gamble is based on what we saw at Monza, where the intermediates weren't slow enough. They basically lost about 20 seconds over those 6 laps, but because the people who pit onto wets required 2 pit stops, they gained overall. So we're just going to wait this out. We might have made the wrong decision again. So this is going to be painful for a few laps, but it will come back down. And this is only just 4 apparently. So yeah, you're right. It's not possible. The good news is actually we're doing it, like even on full push, we're doing okay in terms of both temperature and tire wear, but it will come back to us. As long as they don't gain 20 seconds over us in this time, we're fine. I'm starting to get concerned they're going to get 20 seconds on us. Why has the behavior that we witnessed in Imola not happened here? So it's about to come back to us. We can push the fuel as well. How have we been mugged off again in the opposite direction? Because it's exactly the same situation we had at Imola. It's exactly the same situation we had at Imola, except this time we've done what they did at Imola and we've got it wrong. Can we please have some consistency in this game? It was full wet for about 8 laps and we have lost about a minute, whereas last time we went on to wets and we lost 20 seconds net over people who stayed. This time we've stayed and we've lost 20 seconds net on people who changed twice, there and back again. Somehow, no matter what we do, we lose 20 seconds in wet conditions like this. I'm getting a little fed up of this, if I'm completely honest. Because you make a mistake, you learn from that mistake, you deploy the right strategy compared to what you did last time, and you get it wrong again. There is no consistency. It's about to get wet again, of course, though. And this time we will switch on. I think we can actually burn these tyres. My instinct on seeing that weather pattern was to go intermediate wet, but because of what happened at Imola, I didn't do that. All right, so this is the lap where we thought it might tip up. It's going to be a little bit later by the looks of things. And because we're not pitting on and off again, it's definitely faster to go onto the wets at the end here. But so basically, as soon as we see that ticker move upwards for the rain, oh God, actually, is it going to be faster? It's only getting drier and there's only like 3 laps left. I don't think it's going to be faster. Yeah, we're on lap 53 now and it's only just coming up now. Yeah, this would be the lap to do it with 3 laps to go and when we would lose 20 seconds doing it. And it might not even get to 4. What a waste of everyone's time this was. I do apologize, but the game screwed us over again. There's nothing I can do about it. This game is fundamentally broken. And I'm in all honesty, and Yuki's compounded. I mean, he stayed on the track, thank God, but I'm not even going to bother watching it because this race has been utterly futile because we have been mugged off once again. It's so frustrating. Every time I try and learn from what happens in a race, the game decides to do the opposite thing next time round. So we get nothing out of it. We get 1 point. McLaren get 13. They gain on us because of that mistake as well. I think we have both drivers in the top 10 there. Yeah, 1 and 8. So I think we hold firm, actually. We lose 4 points, but I think we're untouchable at this stage. For that, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. There's some research done. ATR period opens in a couple of weeks. We won't start anymore until then. Because I think we need to be wary of the cost cap here. We have 20 million remaining. It's not superb. So 6 million for Yuki's engine and gearbox guaranteed at this point, I believe. I think we'll take them next race. And then maybe 3.5 for Alex's ERS and gearbox, which are slightly more capable. But all in all, it's going to work out roughly another 10 million in those car parts. So we haven't got a lot spare. Bear in mind, we're probably going to have to manufacture aerodynamic car parts as well. We've still got 5 more races. 4 more races, sorry. But we're going to absolutely have to take it. And Qatar is another sprint weekend, which is what we'll bring you back for next time round. Just because I clicked through it and a little bit of frustration there. What is the gap to McLaren? 17 points. It's not untouchable. I think Aston are done for and Alpine are done for at this point in terms of that. But 4 points for Williams is actually really crucial for them. They get Sauber. Haas still don't have a point, bless them. And neither does Daniel Ricciardo. They're all through Bottas. Antonio Giovinazzi gets Nick de Vries, as they probably rightly should do. Lance Stroll's rated 88. That's insane. But Lance Stroll's rated the same as Esteban Ocon, and only 2 behind Carlos Sainz. That's, yeah, no. Yeah. Also, this is a little depressing. Lando's obviously... I don't know what's happened with Zhou Guanyu. His car's just been fundamentally worse than Lando's over the last sort of 6 race weeks. But the fact that this Drivers' Championship is Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Lando, AlphaTauri, says a lot about the way this game functions at the moment. Because then it's Aston, but Zhou Guanyu in between, whose car's been woeful for the last 6 race weeks because they've not replaced car parts when they should have. And then it is Alpine, Valtteri, Williams, Ricciardo. The Drivers' Championship is almost 2x2, and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. It's so annoying because the game as a game is so much better, but there is a fundamental underlying bias to car over driver that is still too far in the cars side of things. The driver is not doing anywhere near as much to break free. Antonio Giovanazzi's only just broken through in Nick de Vries, even though he's a marginally better driver. Valtteri Bottas has obviously got all the points for Sauber because he's the better driver out of the Sauber drivers. But, you know, between this lot, they're all should be getting points anyway. It's all luck-based, really. But Pierre is a much better driver than Oscar Piastri as they stand, so he's got more points than them in the inter-team fight. But as a team, they are there. Aston Martins have been split by Zhou Guanyu because Zhou Guanyu has been screwed over by not taking new car parts earlier, really. Lance Stroll, similarly, in a similar boat, is a better driver than Kevin Magnussen, but he's been screwed over by not taking car parts, or because he's crashed too much, really, more than anything, and therefore broken his car more than Kevin, and they've not replaced the car parts early enough. So they've been in the same boat in that respect. But a lot of that was self-inflicted from Lance, whereas Zhou Guanyu's just worn down his car parts and they've not replaced them efficiently as they should have. Our drivers are split fairly evenly. There's not a lot in it, really. For a team there, being only 24 points apart isn't a huge discrepancy. It is a discrepancy, but it's not a huge discrepancy. And I don't really understand it well with Yuki Tsunoda. I think he's just fundamentally race pace better than Alex. Alex has got more rounded stuff and things like adaptability and control, whereas Yuki's got the outright raw lap by lap pace and overtaking capability, crucially. But yeah, between Lando's outright pace and Zhou Guanyu's car situation, he's obviously dramatically far apart, but I think McLaren overall over the season have a better car than us. But because of the situation between the two McLarens, that's the only thing that prevents this being from Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, Alfa. That's the only thing that stops that from being that case in the Aston, Alpine. The top 7 teams should be 2 by 2 if it wasn't for Zhou Guanyu's car situation. If it wasn't for that, they would genuinely be Noah's Arking right now, which shows you everything that is wrong with this game in terms of the fundamental underlying calculations on how races unfold. Because race by race, sometimes you get a bit of variation, but ultimately it's defaulted to cars. And actually, Russell being 2 points better off as a driver than Sergio Perez. Yeah, Sergio's had a little bit of an issues as well in terms of strategy and penalties and crashes and things. So he's a little bit more prone to error than George as well, which is the discrepancy there. It's frustrating to see this. And it genuinely does knock my resolve to continue with this if they don't fix this problem. Because there's almost no point playing the game. It's weird because the game as a management game is so much better than it was last year. It is, more difficult as a whole to get better as a team, but you get better as a team. The car trumps driver. I could have a terrible driver in my car and they probably still be, probably not necessarily 9th, but because of how close Kevin is, but they probably still be 11th or 12th. They'd still be close. It genuinely does knock my resolve to do a 4th season. It's weird because last year was easier, but I had no qualms doing season 4, season 5 because of the variation inherent in the system as well. The big difference here is even though car still trumps driver, I'm hoping the 2026 regulations changes the order at the very least to an interesting level. If after half a season it's still Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Alfa Tauri, or because we might get a benefit, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, and wherever we end up in that spectrum because of them not doing as well as us inherently. If it's still the same order apart from us, I might genuinely not continue with season 4 if that's the way it starts paying out. That's the way I'm thinking right now. I'm going to be truthfully honest with you. It is irritating. We have 41 in the bank. We can improve the facilities actually at this stage as well because our cost cap is 20, so we've got basically 20 million spare for facilities. But anyway, I'll see you for Qatar. 2 more races in. We'll see what the situation is with McLaren then as well. For 4th in the championship, as it stands, I believe. And yes, it is the frustration of the rain messing us over once again, doing the opposite thing to what we've learnt previously. That's brought on this rant, essentially. But it has tilted me. I'm not going to lie. I want to love this game. But for all the progress they make in some areas, they take 2 steps back. And it is so frustrating. It is so frustrating. It should be a great game, but it isn't. I want to say it's a great game, but it's so close to being a great game. And if they just fix the fundamentals that are broken, it will be a great game. It's a little bit like Football Manager this year, where they have fixed the fundamentals. They've still got Weinvember and players not understanding squad status like that. There's still one fundamental issue that makes it annoying for 2 months of every single season in Football Manager that prevents it from being absolutely excellent as a game. But at the very least, they fixed all the other fundamentals that were lacking in the last years. They fixed some of the fundamentals, but they've broken some of the others. Drivers was so much more impactful last year over the cars. It made so much more difference, as you saw, between Pierre and Mick last year. There was so much more discrepancy between Pierre and Mick than there is this year between drivers within a team. I say that, actually. Pierre and Oscar are showing that at Alpine. But the cars still separate out, and it's, yeah. We had the best car last year at Aston Martin, but Mick was still fighting to be second in the championship because he was that much worse than Pierre or George when George took over. Because he was that much worse than Pierre or George as a driver, he was still fighting to be second in the championship from the next best team as drivers, you know, Max Verstappen. And I think they picked up Charles Leclerc then as well. Because those drivers were better than Mick. But even though they were in a worse car, they were still fighting for position. There doesn't appear to be fighting for position. It's all just inter-team. And yeah, I'll stop now. But if you've enjoyed this, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts because, you know, I'm playing this on a weekly basis now. So, you know, I'm getting this more isolated. So it's been more of a it's an isolated incident, this for me. But I'll see you next time in a week's time for Qatar. It's another sprint. I'll see you then. Ta-ra.